All right, let's get right into it. We're not going to talk about budgets or retirement accounts in the way you're used to. No, today we're talking about an escape plan, a blueprint, really, a mathematical blueprint for buying back your own personal freedom. Okay, let's dive in. Just let that sink in for a second. Every single second that ticks by is gone, forever. And yet, what's the standard script we're all given? We're taught to trade this priceless, finite resource for a currency that, let's be honest, can be printed out of thin air. They call this being responsible. But when you really look at the math, it starts to feel a lot less like responsibility and a lot more like a tragedy. And, well, that's what brings us here, to this whole idea, this movement called FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early. Now look, this is not about extreme couponing or living some miserable scarcity-driven life. No way. Think of it as a strategic framework, a calculated acquisition of the one thing that actually matters, your time, your freedom. Okay, so Section 1, the 40-year trap. To understand the solution, you first have to understand the prison. It's this pre-written narrative that most people just accept without ever questioning it. It's a trap that's set for us from the very beginning.
We all know this script, right? It's the grind. It's the path of least resistance, the one we're told to follow for a stable life. But what is it really? It's a system designed to keep you productive, keep you consuming, and keep you working for decades, until you're finally spit out at the end, often too old and tired to actually enjoy the freedom you supposedly earned.
But what if that script is just flawed? What if the path of least resistance actually leads to a place you don't want to be? Well, there is another way, and it's not based on luck or hope. It's based on cold, hard, kind of beautiful math. And the whole point of this explainer is to give you that exact blueprint, the tangible escape plan to get off the treadmill, not just a few years early, but decades ahead of schedule. So let's get into the mechanics of this. The core of the FIRE movement isn't some complex, high-minded philosophy. It's actually a simple, almost unbreakable law of financial physics that literally anyone can understand. Here it is. This right here is the key that unlocks the whole system. 25 times your annual expenses. That's your number. That's the target. The moment you truly understand this equation, the entire game just changes. So, reaching that number, that 25 times your expenses, gets you to what we call financial independence. Or, my favorite way to think about it, the crossover point. This is that magic moment where you no longer have to work for money because your money is officially working for you, generating enough passive income to cover all your living expenses forever. So how does this work in the real world? It's surprisingly simple, and it's based on some really solid research. First, you hit your target number. Save up 25 times what you spent in a year. Second, you invest that money. We're not talking about trying to pick the next hot stock. No, you put it in broad, diversified, low-cost index funds. Think of them like a basket that holds a tiny piece of hundreds of different companies, so you're just tracking the market as a whole. And third, you can then withdraw 4% of that portfolio each year to live on.
Now this is where things get really incredible. Historically, the stock market returns an average of, say, 7 to 10% a year. So think about it. If you're only withdrawing 4%, what happens to the rest? Well, in most historical scenarios, your original nest egg doesn't just survive, it actually keeps growing. Your principal can get bigger, even while you're living off of it. You've basically built a perpetual money machine. Now, of course, this is based on historical data. It's not a guarantee. But as a framework for planning, it's incredibly powerful.
Okay, so that's the blueprint. But how do you actually get there? This brings us to the single most critical variable in the entire equation. It's not about landing a six-figure salary. It's about something much, much more powerful. And this is the part where theory slams into reality. What I'm about to show you is the stark, brutal truth of this whole thing. It's what separates the people who just talk about financial freedom from the ones who actually go out and get it. It has very little to do with how much you earn and everything to do with your discipline. Just look at this. Your savings rate, the percentage of your after-tax income that you save and invest, that's the master variable. If you save a standard 10%, you're on the 51-year plan. You'll be working until you're old. But look what happens when you get aggressive. A 50% savings rate, that cuts your time down to just 17 years. And if you can push it to 70%, you are financially independent in less than a decade. This isn't an opinion, it's just math. The numbers do not lie.
So it all boils down to two mindsets. You've got the consumer, who's focused on spending, on status, and always upgrading their lifestyle. Their timeline to freedom is 45 years, probably more. Then you have the architect, who focuses on saving, on investing, and on deliberately designing a life of freedom. Their timeline can be as short as 9 years. You just have to choose which one you want to be.
Now, achieving a high savings rate like that isn't just about cutting a few expenses. It requires a radical, fundamental, psychological shift in how you see the very concept of money. You have to stop seeing money as a means to acquire things and start seeing it as a tool to acquire time. I love this metaphor. Every single dollar you save and invest is like a soldier you're deploying to go out and fight for your freedom. And every dollar you spend on something you don't truly need, that's a soldier you just executed before it could even join the battle.
Let's make this really tangible. Take this number, $50,000. This is about the average price of a new car today, maybe a slightly fancy one. But the true cost of that car is not $50,000. If you're an architect trying to buy your freedom, that $50,000 represents years of your life. For someone with average expenses, investing that money instead of spending it could literally buy you 2 or 3 years of freedom. The price isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in time.
So you have to start asking yourself this question with every major purchase. Is that fleeting feeling of luxury, that leather seat, that bigger screen, is it worth 1,000 more days of your one and only life spent working a job you might not even love? Is it worth it?
And that brings us to the final and most important question. Why? Why go through all this trouble? Why the austerity? Why the discipline? What is the actual prize at the end of this journey? Let's be crystal clear about this. This is not about retiring to a beach to do nothing for 40 years. It's not about idleness. It is about agency. It's the absolute power to decide what you do with your time every single day without needing to ask anyone for permission or a paycheck. And that power is profound. It's the freedom to wake up and actually ask, who do I want to be today? A writer? An artist? A volunteer? It's about completely removing the work for survival equation from your daily life so you can finally focus on creation, on contribution, on your purpose. Now, let's not sugarcoat it. The path is hard, and the savings goals require real austerity. But the destination? The destination is the ultimate prize. It is the complete and total ownership of your own existence. To own your time is to own your life. The system is designed to keep you dependent, trading your precious, limited time for money. But the math offers a way out. The choice, ultimately, is yours. So the first step is simple. Go and calculate your number. Figure out what freedom really costs for you.